Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Word of the Year devotional. This week's word is the word build, and this is Dion's Word of the Year. So have you ever built something? I took a shop class when I was in high school, and I made my mom a recipe book holder. That's about all I've ever built. Now, I've assembled a lot of furniture in my day, but coming up with something brand new, building something from scratch, not really something that I have ever done before. You know, Jesus was a carpenter by trade. He knew how to build. And so we need to assume that when Jesus talks about building in Matthew 7:24 through 27, he knows what he's talking about. This is what he says. Therefore, anyone who hears these words of mine and puts them into practice is like a wise man who built his house upon the rock. The rain came down, the streams rose, and the winds blew, and they beat against the house, but it did not fall, because its foundation was in the rock. But everyone who hears these words of mine and does not put them into practice is like the foolish man who builds his house upon the sand. The rain came down, the streams rose, the winds blew and beat against the house, and it fell with a great crash. Now, these two lives that Jesus compares here have several things in common. They both build, they both hear Jesus' teaching, and they both experience the same set of circumstances in life. The difference between them isn't caused by ignorance, but by ignoring what Jesus said. Externally, their lives are similar, but the lasting structural differences will be revealed by the storms of life. Dion says this about his word: having a solid foundation is very good advice, whether you're building a house or a family or a business or a life. Building is a constructive process, and we should be focusing on building friendships and trust and love and joy, and avoid building enemies, grudges, shallow victories. The passage I said something about just a few moments ago from Matthew was the finale to the Sermon on the Mount. When Jesus says, whoever hears these words of mine and puts them into practice, he is talking about this sermon that he gave in Matthew 5-7. And so I encourage you this week to read through that entire passage and then answer this question: to what degree does your life reflect the directions that Jesus gives you in this passage? Jesus is the only foundation, the cornerstone. And if we build our lives, our homes, our businesses, our family around him, they won't fail when the storms of life come. Thank you for tuning in this week to the Word of the Year devotional, and I hope to see you next week.